great to have you, and it's great to have your repertory in RadarOpus. I use it very often.
Und etwas Ruhe ist eingekehrt und deswegen
Just need
nochmal.
to make sure everyone's muted, please. So there we go. Bernadette, just going to mute you. So, and yeah, if you're not, let's just make sure everyone's muted. Thank you. The recording is running, and there's a few more arriving, so I'm going to let these guys in too. And you know, Michal is wonderful. She doesn't need a great spiel from me to introduce her. You all know who she is, and I'm going to let her get going. The housekeeping stuff is, if you have a question, put it in the chat. I'm going to keep an eye on those, and Michal will pause, and we can do questions as we go, and we'll try and round things off within the hour. Okay, so Michal, thank you, and over to you.
Thank you. So it's really nice to see you all. I'm trying to do something which is a bit impossible for me, like trying to kind of cram things into 1 hour. That's always impossible. I think the only place which is worse is the Liga, where they give you 30 minutes. And can you? Yeah. Okay. So. What I'm going to do today is introduce two cases, and in the botanical and how I was helped with that with the botanical repertory. So I don't know, I'm sure some of you are very well familiar with the table of plants, and some of you are just a bit, and some none at all. So I'll just do a short introduction. And the thing is that the botanical repertory is actually a shortcut way to get repertorization of the understanding that we get in the case that we otherwise don't have words for it, because the repertory so far in many ways is in language of older time. I know, look, now you are introducing themes and new words, but still most of the repertory, which by the way, I think it's like as great invention as the Google of 200 years ago, because you could get very directly to an information you want. So what we are doing now is we created kind of what we would say an app, but it's within the program, so it's an inner program, which we call it the botanical repertory, and it introduced the table. So oftentimes people ask me, how do you know that the case is a plant? I don't. I'm not working like that. I'm sure other people which are much more genius than me can do that. I don't usually say, oh, he's a plant, he's a mineral. I don't have this oversight. What I do have is understanding of the columns. And it's not much to remember. In the table, you have 6 columns. 6 columns, it's quite easy to understand, especially if you understand what it represents. What does the table represent? And the table is a roadmap of evolution. And in homeopathy, as I think one of the genius aspects of homeopathy is that we are always asked to compare the person in front of us to what we know as a perfect health. And I think it's great. We don't compare it to a disease. We compare, okay, this one, he should have been, okay, this is an egg, but actually after 40 million years, it should have been a dinosaur. not an egg. If someone in front of me is still an egg and is 52, he needs a remedy. And he needs a remedy that will bring him to the present. So understanding that where humanity is going is like the bigger whole. And I'm always looking for this wholeness, the bigger wholeness that Jeremy Schaefer a long time ago was speaking about. Look for what's the biggest wholeness that you can find and compare the health to that. And this will postulate that if another person is sick, I cannot really be healthy because I'm part of humanity. And understanding where humanity wants to go, what is health of humanity, is part of what the table of plant give me as a process. And when I understand that the table is a table of evolution, it describes how humanity has evolved to, and where the disease happened, because every one of us, everyone who's sick, is actually, in the Kabbalah we say, you take upon itself to correct this part of the human tapestry. It's not only your personal, but of course, when we sit with a person, then okay, where in evolution, where is the pathology, and to understand that, I want us to do like a short detour to the table qualities. So I hope most of you are familiar with this table. This is the table of the flowering plants. It has 6 columns. It contains monocots and dicots, which sit upon each other like that. 6 botanical columns. And they have a vector. Actually, they have 2 vectors. From left to right, it's the vector of where big groups that in botany we call them subclasses, evolved from the most primitive, which is the magnolids, to the most new and complex and evolved, which is the asterids. And in the monocots, you have the same thing, but we start from the less known alismatades, and we end with the lilids, which actually correspond to the 6th column of the asterids. So it's become simple, 6 columns. In every column, they had their own evolution. So near the center, you have the oldest groups, and they go like that, like a plant. So the tips of every column is the youngest in this group. So if you look to the very left, to the Magnolidae, then the Magnolids and the Piperales are the youngest. And if you go down to the Papaverales, the opium group, are actually the youngest in this column. But of course, they'll be older than their counterpart in column 6. That's just like, in a nutshell, the build of the table to those who are not aware of it. Left side is more feminine, right side is more masculine. So each column is actually, once we know, we are over the botanical aspect. And then if we take all the remedies in this column as if one person and analyze them as such, then you get a story. And what you see that every column describes a stage in evolution in the building of the human ego. Not ego as egocentric, but ego more as Jung would say it, which is the human tool which carry the individuality. The human aspect which carry awareness and choiceability, and even later lovability. and on the way to being humans' highest potential. So from column to column, the ego build is being developed. And in each column, a higher level of advancement, I would say, is offered. And where in this stage can pathology happen? Where, as pathology, this place, this stage got stuck. Where the hardship that I may expect this person to have, when the soul took upon itself those challenges. And in a way, it all, if I recognize that the person belongs to a certain place in the table, not only I know, okay, he needs a remedy from this group, I also know what other pathologies he might have, but also what kind of cure I want. Because in column 1, for example, I want them to have, as the cure, a stronger ego. In column 6, the opposite. I want them to soften up, not to be so individual and to be to the point of egocentrism. So when the cure happens, you know, that's it. I understand the case even better, or a remedy there. And every remedy offers its own choice of cure. Let's look at the journey shortly. Column 1. There is still, we could say, no ego. Before column 1 in the flowering plants, there was a huge group of the ancient plants. But in the beginning, I knew nothing about them. And as most of, it seems to me at the time that most of our remedies are from the flowering plant, I was content. It took me another 20 years, I think, to understand the flowering plant. But first, the non-flowering plants. But let's start with the flowering plants, the one we know. So in column 1, after, I would say, getting out of Eden, out of oneness, the ego wants to separate, prepare himself to separate, but it's not ready. You have remedies like opium and aconite and staphysagria and pulsatilla and magnolia, all those remedies which say aristologia, they say, I'm not ready. I'm not ready really to separate. I don't really understand. What is this world? People from column 1, when they sit in front of you, there is a naive quality to them, primordial. I don't understand. How can my husband cheat on me? I don't understand that. People are not supposed to cheat on the one they love or the one they committed. That's a naive aspect. I don't understand. Well, he wanted us to have sex without condom. So what could I do? We have. Now she needs berberis because she has a repeated bladder infection. But she has no ego yet to say, no, sorry, no. There is something is simple in the personality, beautiful, naive, primordial, not separated yet. But the problem is that there are no borders. They come to your clinic. I think you should do that and that. Maybe you should change the colors or your hair. And the same, and they have no borders even for themselves. He said, I was affected. It could be no borders physically. Oftentimes, they're spaced out, not in the body. The tool for the ego is not ready yet. We just prepare it. We prepare the body, the emotions, the sensations, and the mind. But it's not ready yet. That's the pathology. Oftentimes they'll be very dependent, like pulsatilla, changeable, influenced. Aconite, for example, it's one of the most influenced remedy there is, because the slightest event causes a trauma. So in the case you see lots of confusion, they don't understand the rules, lots of instability. And in the very beginning of the column, in the younger stage of the column, lots of raw desires, like piper metisticum. I want it, I need to have it, like a baby. Raw emotions. Raw emotions. So column 1, as there is no boundaries, oftentimes you'll have lots of no boundaries for the blood vessel. For example, the remedy cinnamon is one of the best remedies for hemorrhages, uterine hemorrhages in women, in menopausal women, because there is no borders. They get sick easily. Aconite, great remedy for easy, where they often time contact flu. No borders, no skin. Oftentimes they come to you and they tell you, when I go to the world, I have no skin, no protection. It's oftentimes a word they use. I have no skin. So oftentimes they'll be oversensitive, like Asarum with his oversensitivity to noises, impressionable. But everything irritates them. Irritate in English actually means, the first meaning is that you move something from one place to another. You irritate it from its place. They become irritated. They're not angels. Everything penetrates and it irritates them, and they cannot concentrate. There'll be lots of concentration problem in children. They oftentimes not verbalize. It's difficult for them to express themselves. So it's not easy to live like that. What do? Escapism. You escape to addiction. Addiction can be to drugs, but oftentimes it's to alcohol, it's to books, it's to look at the phone. Or someone told me, I'm addicted to surfing. The thing is that's where you get oftentimes drug-like remedy. So if you have those qualities in the case, whatever he says or she says, this is the qualities you get. Those will be your hints for column 1. So you say, oh, I need in the end something very simple. I will need, I will need remedies from column 1. So you can go to the program and just take column 1 as a symptom. You can, if you're absolutely sure, you could give it like 2 points or 3 points. Just drag it. Choose this symptom and drag it to your repertorization. And therefore you say, oh, and it will kind of advance remedies like berberine, nymphea. Oh, I never thought of nymphea, but now that I'm thinking of it, I can go and read about it. Hi, Diane. Oh. So that will be column 1. What will be in column 2? In column 2, The ego tries to set borders, to separate. The ego is still in the feminine aspect. It's the pink stage. We are out of the water. The feminine aspect is the aspect which beget. Therefore, we always begin with the feminine. So, but that we had a lot in column 1. So in column 2, you try to separate. You try to set borders. And the question is, am I ready to separate? Because it's not so fun to separate. Think of it. Let's say you have been working with a big firm. Maybe you cannot always do what you want, but you're sure you have pension, you have clear salary, you know your place. It is safe. If they make mistake, maybe you'll have a company lawyers. But now you decided, no, I want to go independent. Oops. Suddenly everything is on you and it's absolutely not sure, absolutely not stable. Nothing is sure anymore. So do I want to go back? The human soul aspire to advance, but there is always some temptation in the past. If I separate, the first thing that happened to me, I become small. Because I'm by myself. In the beginning, I'm small. When I was part of this big company, I was part of this bigness. Now I'm separate, I'm small. So what am I? Big or small? Separate or together? So what should I do? Should I separate, be small, or stay in the past and lose myself? So there is a lot of, as we go up the column toward the remedies that are like the quercus, the oak, all the nuts, the juglans, we want to be strong. We need to put a lot of efforts in order to separate and pull ourselves together and do something. And oftentimes those are Sisyphean efforts, which ends with exhaustion. The last remedy in column 2 is carb-veg. It is burnt wood from column 2. So am I here or am I there? And the border just awakens. So oftentimes the clearest border is, of course, the skin. So you'll have this numbness and formication in many remedies, and itching, like my skin, my borders are awakening. But oftentimes this word, am I here or there, would be a keynote in your story. The patient says, I had one patient that said, I was born in Italy, and then when we were 7, we moved to Israel, or to England for that case. And when I came, I didn't speak the language, I was different. And for a long time, I didn't know to where I belong. Am I here or am I there? Am I Italian? Am I Israeli? And now, 20 years later, it's still there, this unsolved conflict. And then when the pathology started, they moved home. She got married, and for a while they were living with the parents, and then wow, great, they have their own home. The moment they moved to their beautiful new home, she got sick. She says, all this hesitation and fear and doubt and not knowing, where do I belong? Just the sensation came back. So that was for sure now, okay, I need a remedy from column 2. This inability to separate, although she wanted to, nobody made her. In column 2, we begin the construction of the mind. So oftentimes, when the pathology begin, like let's say cannabis indica, which is in the beginning of column 2, you'll have a lot of confusion. Am I in the higher world, in this world? Where am I? But the awareness begin. And those will be the hints for column 2. So if you have it in the case, here or there, so you go to Radar program, botanical repertory, and just choose column 2 as a symptom. That's all. That's all you need to do. Column 3. That's a difficult one. Column 3 is the cactuses, mostly. Not only, but cactuses or plants that grow in very harsh condition, like on the Alps or near swamps or in very cold places. They're the hero of the plants. Or even other plants which are desert plants in other continents, not in America, belong here. They can withstand extreme conditions. I call them the heroes, because here it's a short stage in column 3 where someone tried to be significant, to be different, to separate by force, but it's not done in a harmonious way. Maybe you've heard me. It was one of the cases that had one of the strongest impression of me. A young boy, when he was 17, he left home and went to go live by himself. Now, in Israel, with Jewish people, it's very unusual. Nobody leave home before he's 18. He didn't even tell me about it. His mother, once he was improved, his mother also came for treatment, and she told me of one of her sorrows where he didn't speak with me. My child didn't speak with me for a year. So when he came, I asked him, why didn't you? Why were you not talking with your mother for a year? Oh, he said, she tried to control me. It was so simple. And for them, everything that feels like control, like a female control, they fight it. So of course they can fight their mothers, but they can fight their religion. Yeah, I am conservative, but I don't follow the rules. They can fight their country. I'm not going to the army, or I'm not going to the service. I will be the opposite. Or they fight any authority, which for them is the proverbial dragon. In column 3, the hero fight the dragon. He's young, like in all legend. He's young, unexperienced, but he tried. If he managed, then he becomes a significant force in the world. Because at this stage, the ego needs to separate from what is now experienced as the smothering embrace of the feminine. And this is the dragon that they fight. So you need to fight to find the dragon in their life. Another case, I remember a woman told me that she now is establishing a new clinic. She says, I'm building it, and now my husband dared to come and suggest to help me, like paint it or something. How dare he? She was furious with him that he wanted to help. And she didn't see, like, why does he try to control me? So often in the case, they might have a dominant figure. It could be mother, a teacher, a guru, or a belief, any external government, any external force. And this need to separate at all force, at all price, while you're actually not completely ready. So sometimes there is a desire to stay united, because botanically there's something very interesting. Column 3 came from evolved from column 1, not from plants from column 2. So there is something which is say, okay, I'll try to separate, but otherwise I'm going back to the womb, which create a very up movement or down, up and down, like the heartbeat. So there is, if you see that in the case, a struggle to separate. I want to do what I want to do. Fighting a dragon in their life. That will be an like first indication for column 3. Once they gain it, then there is an ability to choose which becomes available. But the pathology will be this kind of futile or redundant fight. And if you see that, you just take column 3 and choose and drag it to your repertorization. And you see how it immediately suggests all kinds of remedies. And again, if you're sure of it, you just give it like 2, 3, or 5 points, or even make it an eliminatory symptom. In column 4, we try to find equanimity between the feminine and the masculine, giving and receiving. But between maturity, between us and the mother, between being a mother and being a child. Can I receive and stay stable? Can I give and not being drained? Balance. In column 4, you seek balance. And you seek to separate from your family, from your roots, from the mother quality in your life, so that you'll be independent, but in a balanced way, not like you did it in column 3. Column 3 was very painful, actually, like sitting on a cactus. In column 4, okay, how do I do that? But the pathologies have separated and too early. I'm not so like chocolate. I've said always feeling forsaken. Or I became a mother too early. Chocolate, bamboo. I became a responsible mother too early. Tia. I became a mother too early. And now I have all those, it's the first row, so it's the subconscious. Now I have all those frightening thoughts in my head, like I'm going to throw my baby out of the window or stab him with a fork. Maybe I'll put a detergent in his milk. So I'm not touching him. I brought my mother and she's doing all the touching. If you hear of it, column 4, the beginning, not ready to be a mother. Or in the middle, now am I nurturing enough? Am I giving enough? Do I take care of others enough, but me not? Am I taking care of the family and it's too early for me? And then I'm always left with this need to give without ability to do anything about it. And then underneath there is forsaken feeling. Lots of issues of motherhood, giving, accumulating too much, bryonia. All the gourd family, think of this accumulation of matter, mother matter, giving too much. So the pathology will be mother and family issues. Oftentimes, all the stories. Here with the table, you can use the stories. She's telling you, I've been forsaken. I remember a woman came to me, and she was like 30. The first thing she told me was, I was orphaned when I was born. Before anything, You should know. She needs column 4. I don't need anything. Just now, which one we have, but just like it's a vector. Or there will be lots of issue around the digestion system. That's about nurturing. So a woman who she tells you of her pathology, and then you notice that all her pathology is from mouth to anus. I have after in my mouth, and my throat contract, and I have acidity or reflux, and I used to be how do you say? I used to be bulimic. Now I'm not, but I used to be, and now and I have constipation or diarrhea. All the pathologies mouth to anus. I know she belongs to column 4. There is imbalance in nurturing. Of course, issue of roots and being uprooted will be linked here. Every column, I didn't go into it, but every column relates to a spiritual stage in human evolution. Column 4 talk of the Buddhist aspect and the Christian aspect. And if you think of the Buddha disciples, that they leave all material thing and go with only the cotton and a bowl for food, or think of the Christ who says, leave all material, leave your father and mother and come after me, preparing for the next column. It's part of what's happening here. So if those issues are in the case, take column 4 as a symptom. And you see in column 4, we have much more remedies because it's more advanced botanically, but they will give you a hint. In column 5, we are at last with the masculine. We are out again of equanimity in the masculine stage. The masculine element take control. The masculine, as opposed to the feminine, which the feminine is watery, the masculine is like an arrow. It is, I would say, hard. So this create a split, a total split from the feminine. Mind and emotions separate. Mind controlled by the emotions, like Viola Dorata here. The mind becomes the dominant aspect of them. It takes over. It's father time. So there will be and the mind oftentimes says, no, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not dealing with it. I don't want to hear about it. This is emotions. This is hysteric. It's not logical. And it suppress it. There will be lots of suppression. There will be lots of laws, do's and don't do's. That's the right thing, that's the wrong thing. And if you don't do what I say, then you're on the wrong. And in the worst case, I can kill you. So there's be lots of rigidity, even religion fanatism. And the split create otherness. You see, if I have a border, then there could be me and other. If I don't have borders, they're not really separate. So we have worked all on these other borders all through those columns in different stages of separation. In column 5, it is finite. It is finite. There is otherness. In column 5, we deal with me and everything which is other. It could be me and my husband. It could be me and them. It could be me and the foreigners. It could be my thought when I'm in control and my thought when I'm not in control, like in anacardium, devil and angels in every side. It could be, again, me and them, right and wrong. And all those qualities will penetrate every aspect of relationship, of partnership. But also in column 5, we are out of the family. And because we are out of the family, we go out to work. There'll be lots of issues of work and doing and proving yourself in out of the family borders, but all in a rigid way, up to OCD. Column 5, by the way, is the medieval time. Just look at their clothes at the time, how rigid they were. And if you find those qualities in the case, this rigidity, then you'll take this symptom, column 5. And in column 6, we are now attaining, I would say, what we came from, to be in the world. But the question is, am I part of the world or am I separate from the world? Does the world define me? And do I keep my individuality, or do I go beyond it and see my responsibility for the world? Am I unique in the world or disappear in the world as pathology? What's my place in the world? I want the world to look at me, see me, competition with others. I want to be unique. But it takes you to egocentricity. They're all the time talking about my classmate, my friends. They say, they didn't say. How do they see me? How do they not see me? It's all the time, it's you and the world. So again, there will be sensitivity to the world, even to pollens, to warmth. Sensitivity to injury, because it's now you and the world which are contending. So in the end, we have the asterales with arnica and echinacea remedies, bellis, calendula, remedies for injuries and wounds, because the world is now wounding me. I'm injured by the world, maybe persecuted by the world, the solanales. The world attack my borders. And in the higher aspect, I learn to take responsibility for it, like Olive. But in the lower aspect, I'm injured by it. And the higher ability here is to choose to be responsible for the world, as we are now required. But it's a very, very crowded feeling. It's the time of individuality, and the individuality becomes the disease. So in column 1, we try to attain individuality. In column 6, we don't want to, the healthy solution is that the group realize how sacred is the individuality, but the individuality realize, or the individual realize how sacred and important is the group. And if both conditions exist at the same time, there will be health. And if you see any of those issues, you could say, I'll just choose column 6 as a symptom and drag it to my repertorization window. And here is the botanical repertory. In truth, you could do it if you have good botanical knowledge, you could do it even without the module, but it's much more difficult and less accurate. But you could do that. Just say, I'm taking column 6. And here I won't go into it, but rows are level of maturity in the column of every, in the themes of every column. So if you say, I think it's just in the beginning of, is like youngish in the beginning of his column, you could take a row as well. Let's see a case. a short one. It was a young man. He just was going to finish the service in the army. So he's around 21, and he just got a vacation. And it was the 7th October. So he was at home and the war started. And most of his platoon, I think that's the English word for it, division, was killed. And the first day, hundreds of soldiers were killed because nobody was ready. And his best friend, which was there, was killed as well. That's the background. He was at home because he actually finished his service. But ever since then, he cannot sleep. He says, my mind races aimlessly. I can't sleep. So sometimes he sleeps for an hour and he wakes and he actually needed to take medication because he cannot sleep, and it's been months. And he was injured and quite severely. He was, and it felt like he was injured he went back actually to his platoon, and on the way he did a car accident, or motorcycle, motorbike accident. He was almost killed. And it felt like he has done it almost on purpose. He was punishing himself. But he lives. And of course, I gave him arnica in the beginning. I didn't even see the case. In the beginning, I was just told that he went through an accident. I gave him arnica and tricalcareas, and he was improving. But the sleep wasn't improving. And now when he comes to me, because the tricalcarea helped him so much, he asked to come to me. It seems like he is still punishing himself by doing rigid exercise daily. He tell me, if I was there, I might have been able to save him. So now he was trying to commemorate his friend in every way. And he's doing it by doing like walks for his memory and a marathon for his memory. And he was like training, and all his energy goes for that. It's like all his life revolves around it. He does it in a very rigid way. And he's quite young, 21. But the weird thing is that he gets frequent sport injuries, like the tendon in his knee was torn, in his different places, and every time he cannot actually do that. He cannot do the marathon. It's like his ligaments are too rigid for his age. So things that other people can do, he pushes himself, but his body doesn't stand. And he refused to talk about his grief. He suppresses it. No, it's not there. I'm just doing what's right. But his mother, who is a good friend of mine, told me it feels like his life has stopped. Everything is just that. And she told me, and although he's very attached to me, which is quite weird when someone is 21, he talks to me all the time, but not of the grief, not of his emotions. So for me, those were column 5 qualities: loyalty to the other, rigidity of thoughts, this is right, this is wrong, blaming yourself all the time because you didn't save the other. But it's like all his life is about friendship, this friendship with someone else. But But the main thing was the rigidity, which was in emotional attitude and in his physicals. When I see something being echoed in the mind and in the physical, then I know for sure that I have the right symptom. And the symptoms is column 5. But more than that, for me was very clear is that the memory of the dead became a parasite on his life. And this led me to a parasite family in column 5, the Santanales. And I arrived at the remedy Santalum album. Now, if you open the book, then you have only few remedies there. So even if you don't do repertory, just say column 5, parasite group, okay, which remedy? And you read them one by one. The one which talks about it, you read the Materia Medica, is the Santalum album, which we call sandalwood. It's a holy parasite. And this is the proving which was done in India. That was one of the main issue here. And like the Taj Mahal in India is an example that the memory of the wife take everything, and you work and do so much work just for the memory. And there is no place for anyone else in the family or for your life for that matter. So I just gave him sandalwood. I had 30, that's what I gave him. And the day after he phoned me, I'm sleeping better. And now it's a month later. I saw him in the street a week ago, and I'm sleeping better. And today he wrote again, I'm sleeping like 6 hours every night straight. You can't imagine after a year or something of hardly sleeping. But also his mother tells me it's like he's free. He has now ability to say, okay, now I'm going to do that. I will study, I will not study, I'll do that and that. He's freer. That's the Santalum album. Now the Santalum album is a tree. It's not a small parasite, it's a tree. But it's a semi-parasite tree. Because when it grows, it connects its roots to other plants. And here you could see a 13-year-old sandalwood. So when it's like in this size, they cut it because this tree is so expensive because of its good odor that it's almost as expensive as gold in weight. And in agriculture, when you want to grow it, you have for every one tree of sandalwood, you need to sacrifice 2 different plants in different stages of its life and plant them around it so it can be parasite on them. And then when you cut the tree down, you just cut them because you don't need them. Usually they put a legume and later an acacia tree. And then they make all those things from it. So it's a remedy. You could under this. Of course, this remedy can have other aspect like clinging to the holy past and clinging to death, to the memory of a loved one. It's a great remedy for bereavement, to severe grief, when after years that has passed, one is unable to let the memory of the deceased go away. And it could be that the name of the deceased became sacred in the family, and in a way doesn't let other live. I remember a family that a young child was the boy was abducted. They never found him, but all the rest of the family was kind of neglected. There's no, everything was just like years and years. The parents were still looking for him, but losing actually the other children. So this memory drained all the energy from the others, I would say. It's after a death of a loved one from cancer, but it's also a great remedy for cancer, where fluids and poisons are locked up in the body, especially lymphatic cancer. Madeleine Van says that it ameliorates cancer pain. So it could be in different level, the same issues. And in the end, they end up drained out of energy. There is no flow anymore. So thinking becomes difficult, no strength, and sense of bewilderness and confusion. Am I going to die? Am I going to end badly? Blaming, completely disappearing, I would say. Okay. So just to end the last 5 moments, I just want to end it. So actually, this is how the table of plants should really look. The table of plants has 7 columns, where the flowering plants is just the 7th. The flowering plants, if you take this a column and open it like that, instead of, then that will be the 7th column. But before that, there were 6 others with all the ancient plants that we know, the mosses, the lycophytes, the ferns, which are the 3rd column here, the cicaces, the gnetophyte, the conifers. The conifers are actually the 6th, and the flowering plants is the 7th column. It's actually an octave. So the land plant create an octave, where the flowering plants is just the last one, the last note of our time. And we can't really talk about them, but all in all, they describe the preparation for the ego construction. It's the journey out of Eden. They belong to an old time where you have another language, the language of paradise, which is oftentimes not verbal. You're going towards separation, but we are just preparing. And the ancient plants are also, we have entered them to the program. They're called the non-flowering plants. And here too, if you know the qualities, you can take a column or even a family if you're sure about it. If you say, oh, I want ferns. Even if you work with Scholten group, with Scholten system, you say, okay, I just want ferns. So you go to column 3 and take it. Or I just want mosses. Simple. And if you have in your case qualities of ancient plants, or if you know more, like say column quality, and we teach it, then you can take it to your repertorization. Column 4, simply dragging it, just like in the flowering plants. So how much time do I have more, Luke?
Let's see a remedy. I'm sure people would like to see one.
Okay, I want to show you a case. Sorry, to talk a little bit of sequoia. Sequoia is one of the biggest trees in the world. the Sequoia sempervivens. We have two sequoias. We have Sequoia sempervivens and Sequodendron giganteum, and we also have Sequoia sempervivens albino, which is kind of an organ of the Sequoia sempervivens, but that's for another time. So you think, oh wow, they must be so strong. How can they be ancient plants? But indeed, it was proved by Kate Birch and Jennifer Rockwell. Mangelovori gave addition, and Maureen and Brody and myself, we did meditation on it. And in Los Angeles, they did trituration with Avgi. So what we see is a remedy that have great strength. That's the tree. That's column 6 of the ancient plant. They have all the wisdom of all the table before them. It's column 6. They have all the strength. They have, that conifers contended with dinosaurs. So that's why they became so high. Think of the brontosaurs that they needed to escape from. And those are people who start their journey from a place of strength. They needed to be strong from young age. It's important for them to be strong. So, and oftentimes they even opt for intense sport activity to maintain resilience. I'm doing sport is like the first thing, the first option. I love doing sport. Or they talk about strength, but it's an ancient plant. There is an aspect which is absolutely unspoken, non-verbal. They cannot express it. And so they go over life being strong, 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 and then something break. I'm telling you that in a nutshell. It's like their motto is, if you're not strong, you will not survive. So there's lots of issues of longevity. It's a remedy for survivors, but survivors don't come to us but just like, they're good. They come to us when they break. And that's the ancient quality. The ancient quality it's old, like anything old, there is not enough water in it. It is fragile, breakable. Not only tuya feel fragile, all the conifers feel fragile. They're so old. But in Sequoia, it goes to, I broke. I was strong, 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 strong. And then I did like this one, I did this one movement and all the ligament tore. And nobody to know about it. I continue to do what I do. But I feel broken. I'm in horrid pain. Another aspect is the height. The ancient plants strive to height. They are still connected, I would say, to a language of paradise, to an old language which relates, which is much more spiritual than our time. And all this is experienced as inner space inside, sometimes as void or emptiness. But what's the problem? When it's too empty, you have no words to describe it to people of our time. You speak of in a different language. It's like the Aboriginal. Think of if you take the Aboriginal and put them in the middle of Europe. This person in his country, he was the highest shaman. He comes to Europe, nobody understands him, and he has no way of conveying his wisdom. So can you please mute yourself? So there is a high quality of love but it is non-verbal. So oftentimes they'll be blunt, although from the inside they'll feel a lot of love. It can take them to a religious aspect, to spiritual aspect. Oftentimes they'll be very spiritual, but again, they will always like crush the world in the place where they, whatever they know, they cannot verbalize it. Like they have this high knowledge and no language to talk about it. So one of the problems is expressing their feeling. Very simple. So I've have enough of your behavior, but I can't tell you that. I don't know how to tell you, even because it's emotional, and I don't know how to tell you that I'm hurt. So oftentimes they close their heart. So sequoias and previvens are people which are very giving and empathetic, and they have sense of obligation and responsibility that can be often, it's almost carcinogenic quality. So and they take upon it themselves and endure. This is huge trees. They endure until something breaks, something tears, something collapse. And it could be, and then intense pain come up and they don't know what to do with it. Oftentimes they'll have something in the skeleton and on the ligaments, but a sudden incident, because oftentimes they've been giving and not receiving. Sometimes they have issues of oldness. Here and in sequoias and previvens, this oldness, ancient plant, will be, you can find it in a very clear symptom. They'll tell you, I feel like I've become old since the pathology. And once you give, and if the remedy is the right one, they'll tell you, I don't know, it's like 20 years has fallen off my shoulder. But they tell you, after the remedy, I feel broken, and sorry, after the disease, I feel broken and old, like I'm 20 years older than I was. Oftentimes, it's like they carry a karma of all time. They went through very difficult events, and it's the end of column of the ancient plant column, so they kind of contain everything that was until now and bring it forth and try to correct it. And therefore, it's another remedy which is good for post-trauma. So sometimes these sequoias and previvens can remind you of arnica in their strength, which is also in column 6, but of the flowering plants. It's like, and what they will tell you, it's not a psychotic break. People with PTSD, it's like a fundamental breakdown in the trust of life after the event. There was a deeply traumatic event, and often maybe it occurred with unreasonable violence. It could be even the fires in Australia or what in California. Not only the war in Ukraine, of course, war in Israel. But the problem is they have no words to transcribe their emotions. They feel, I've experienced such great evil and I cannot talk about it. And here the remedy, especially made from the trunk, would be of great help. So it could be a remedy for karma story healing the past. So again, I cannot teach all the remedy, but I think that's it. Yeah. with our time. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much. The questions, let's see. There was a question about, are you writing a book about non-flowering plants? Which I know.
Oh yeah, I am. I am writing. It's actually already 550 pages.
Amazing.
Here it is.
There it is. Wow.
It's translated to
Someone's translated.
English. And a lot of the work of editing. So we're advancing slowly. I believe it will take a year, but it's there with amazing remedies. Amazing remedies.
Fantastic.
So the flowering plants you could find in the book of Narayana.
Yes.
But the ancient plants, Narayana will eventually publish it as well.
So Narayana will publish the ancient plants too, will they?
Yeah.
Good. Well, they did a lovely job with your first book. And Han Blankert says, it would be nice to get a better impression of how to navigate in Michal's plant matrix by using the new Opus repertory. Or can that be found in the Opus Academy? Yes, there is a video about using the repertory in the Academy section, isn't there? I will find that and pop that in the chat. And Arzu is saying, I guess this is about the last remedy. Maybe it can be given to Palestinians as well. They must have experienced such evil. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's no sides here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, healing is realizing that we are all one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I invite you to participate in trituration that we are doing from time to time. We had now in August, there will be trituration in middle of May, there will be 2 days trituration in Germany. And I think michalyakir.info, you could find information or write me. In August, we are doing an 6-day trituration and a seminar in Australia, in the forest there, in the ancient forest. So you're invited. Again, write me and I'll give you information. And hopefully in the beginning of January, there will be trituration in India, in Pune, where in each one we are trying to also connect with earth and doing some healing for the earth as well, not just find new remedies, but also see how it is all connected to earth. I didn't have time to it. I'll be talking about it now in Germany, but
thank you. What was the email address you wanted people to use?
I'll write it in the chat. Yeah, you could. Thank you.
Lots of lovely thank yous coming from everybody.
Here, that's my email. You can use it freely, and of course, if you have plant case, you're invited to send me.
Yeah, especially an ancient plant case might end up in
yes. Yeah, we will have. I've done 30 proving, and I forgot to add that rather we are now entering new symptoms of all the ancient plants. So there will be lots and lots of new symptoms, and from the proving from all mine and from all over the world. And we soon, in the end, we will also enter about 30 summaries of the trituration proving, which will be in the book, but also free in the Radar.
Nice, great. Yeah, I saw your log file of your editions, and Michal's made something like 5,500 additions to synthesis as well. So that's amazing, amazing work. You've been busy.
Okay.
There might be one last question from Dr. Praveen. He's got his hand raised anyway.
Yeah.
Madam, could you please share your email address once again on the screen?
It's there
Your
in the
email
chat.
address.
In the chat, you can find it.
Just 1 minute.
Your email address, please.
Just 1 minute. I'll write it here. Maybe it's easier. That's the email.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's also in the chat, but it's here. Okay.
Well, thank you again and have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
See you
Bye,
soon.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.